Okay. Quiet in the studio. Well, hello there. This is AbFab, a.k.a. Jonathan Starkey. Or should it be Jonathan Starkey, a.k.a. AbFab? I don't know. And I'm with my very, very good friend, Mark Hartley, a.k.a. Statsman. Say hello, Mark.
Thank you very much. Hello. How are we doing?
We think it was a good day today. Very, very good day. Now, Excellent. The question. Did you stay up for the results last night?
I was that excited, John. I didn't.
3 of the biggest by-elections going with what was at risk for Rishi. I have to say, it goes back a long way because everybody was sort of predicting that he was going to lose all 3. Now, it didn't quite happen. So if we were to go, let's just name them, like get a few facts out there straight off. Okay. Somerton and Frome, they lost. And they lost to the Lib Dems. Selby and Ainsty, they lost to Labour. And Uxbridge and South Ruislip, they managed to hold by a very, very slim majority. And I'll tell you what those majorities were. In Somerton and Frome, the majority was 11,008. In Selby and Ainsty, the majority was 4,161. And in Uxbridge and South Ruislip, the majority was 495. You're not talking major there, are you?
Did you say 400?
Yes, 400.
Whoa, that was close.
The guy, Danny Beales, the Labour Party got 13,470. And the Conservative Party man got 13,965.
Wow.
And our man, Lawrence Fox, of the Reclaim Party, he got 714. And so he beat the Lib Dems there. He beat the Lib.
Even I beat them. I'm just wondering how the hell the fake Conservatives lost to them in that Somerton. That's shocking.
When you look at it and you say to yourself, right, what's been happening there? I mean, the swing to Labour in Selby and Ainsty was 23.7%. And it broke the record for the largest Conservative majority it had overturned at a by-election since 1945.
I believe so, yeah.
Now, when you look at these things, do you think, well, is it because of the way that the government is and they're kind of stale and there's 13 years of things gone bad and awry? And what do you think? What do you think it is? What made these different areas go from a really, really high Conservative majority to actually being upturned, and especially Somerton and Frome going to the Lib Dems?
Again, I think it's a bit of a protest. I think you're right. I think after a couple of terms in office, people get a bit fed up, don't they?
Yeah.
And I mean, the last few years, them fake Conservatives have just destroyed this country.
Yeah. Even
their own voters know it, which is why, I don't know if you got any figures on the turnout, because I believe it was a lot lower than it.
Okay, well,
it's the general election. I mean, normally aren't they, by elections?
Okay, just bear with me for a second, and I'll get some of these turnouts.
Because it sounds to me like a lot of the Conservative voters just didn't bother.
Yeah,
because there's no alternative for them, is there, as well? This is the problem.
I can't lay my hand on the turnouts just yet. I can give you the vote shares, but not the turnouts.
Yeah, I remember one of them was 44. That was down from 70 odd. I can't remember which one it was now. I watched this earlier, but
yeah,
again, that's a lot of voters who didn't come out. So are they protesting? Well, my question is, are they going to come back out, though, for the general? They normally do, but are they just going to be disillusioned and think, what the hell, nah?
The biggest thing that came across to me is that Labour picked a kid. And he's now the MP for Selby and Ainsty. He's 25 years old. What experience has that kid got?
I don't know. When was the last Labour government? 2010. So 13 years ago, he would have been about 12. I don't think he's really witnessed Labour in power, has he?
No.
No, not properly.
I can't really see the thinking on that, why they've done that. I can understand why Sarah Dyke was picked. I mean, she comes from a farming community, and there's big problems with the farming industry over there. So they've gone for that, for a local woman who knows what it's like and knows what's going on. So she said in her victory speech, she thanked the lifelong Conservative voters who had voted Lib Dem for the first time. I mean, I wouldn't be thanking my opposition. I'd be thanking all the Lib Dem people that actually voted for her, to get her in.
She got a point, though. I mean, I've witnessed that round our area sometimes when the people are unhappy with the fake cons. They'll just go with the Greens or Lib Dems because they just want to protest and say, look, this is what happens when you muck about. You get found out.
Well, you do know and you do realise that it was Somerton and Frome, or Frome, whatever they want to do.
Well, they call it Frome, but as I said to you before, it's a split digraph, so it should be Frome.
Right, okay. Well,
but whatever.
It was David Warburton. Now, he was the guy, if you remember, he had a 19,000 majority. They've overturned a 19,000 majority. And that guy was suspended on allegations of drug taking and sexual misconduct.
But that's got to be involved in it as well, because would you be voting for a party who put candidates forward like that? I don't, and I will never in the future.
How much do you think ULEZ had a part in what's gone on in them being able to keep hold of Uxbridge?
Did you say it was just 400?
Yeah, 495.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think it had anything to do with it then, because what was Boris's majority? About 7,000.
Yeah.
So they've not even done as well as that. So I don't think it was about that. I think they were just lucky that the kickback didn't quite make it this time. I think next time, though, it might do, unless the Conservative voters come back out and vote again.
Do you think they will?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that Uxbridge and see if it was the same. What was the vote share? Was it similar to Boris's or was it way down? I don't know. I haven't got that with me.
Well, the vote share was 45% of the vote for the Conservatives.
Okay. I'd have to look and see if that was more than Boris. If it's less, then it's actually not as good as it looks, is it?
No. So if you look at it, the Conservative Steve Tuckwell, he took 45.2% of the vote share, which is down by 7.5%. Labour, Danny Beales, his vote share was 43.6%, and that was up by 5.9%.
Oh, so they've roughly gained and lost equally about the same.
Yeah.
Well, that's got them right up their backsides, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think if I reckon if they had a big name in there, like Boris or someone, I think they would have held that a bit.
You reckon?
Quite a bit more, yeah. I think so.
Well, he just wanted to bury Boris completely. So he has done now, hasn't he? Because basically they've won it with another guy.
Yeah.
So that's it. So as far as Rishi is concerned, that's a win.
Boris should have stood as an independent or maybe gone Reclaim or Reform.
Well, Reclaim, he got 2.3% of the vote share. He's lost his deposit.
Is that all he got?
Yeah. And it's sad, really, because he's got some good policies and good common sense thinking. And he is actually saying the things that people want to hear. But as is per usual in this country, the uniparty system is still winning with first past the post.
It's the problem, John, because people who probably would have liked to have voted for him who I experience this, well, it's a waste voting for you because you're not going to win. It's like, well, if you all say that, then we're never going to change this, are we?
No.
So why don't some people be brave?
I totally and utterly agree with you. I mean, Ed Davey is considering the whole thing of as the total takeover of Lib Dems over politics.
I know. Okay. Just bring him back down to earth. Yeah.
He's hailing it as some kind of a real success, and that they're on the up at Parliament. What?
Come on, even I beat them in the locals, so I mean, just remind them about that. I didn't come last; they did.
I cannot take the Lib Dems seriously, but they are picking up seats.
I know, but this has happened before, hasn't it? Did that happen in some European elections and other local elections in the past? When Brexit was and everyone was annoyed that they were going to scupper Brexit, make a hash of it, and everyone was like, right, we'll vote Lib Dems and we'll vote the Brexit Party and what have you. And then it was like, oh heck, we need to do this properly. So will he do it properly? Because I've just listened to Rishi and you said, what do you think they're going to do if they lose all the seats? Wow. I said, they won't even acknowledge they've got a problem and they'll just double down. But wow.
Was it exactly what he said?
He used those exact words. We're just going to double down and we're going to carry on. And what? Double. So if what you're doing now doesn't work, like massively backfiring, what do they have? An 80-seat majority, which is now down to about, less than, 60-seat majority, was it?
Yeah.
It's probably around half of that gone.
Yeah.
And he's just going to double down. Does he?
No, it was an 80-seat majority, if you remember.
80 seats. Yeah. It was, yeah. Wow. They've lost about how many of them?
And there's more coming.
He's just going to keep doubling down.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, all right.
Actually, we should do a skit on Rishi Sunak and put his face on that Monty Python sketch, where the fight goes on, with that warrior, and they're fighting, and he chops off his arm, and he goes, it's just a flesh wound. Okay. And then he chops off his other arm, and he said, come on, you chicken, come on. And then he chops off his legs. He said, I don't want to hurt you. And then he chops off his other leg. Just leaves him there. Just sitting. He was just sitting there. No arms, no legs. And the next thing he was saying, come on, you coward. Come back and fight. The guy's got no arms and no legs. That's what's going to happen to Rishi.
I can only see two things here. Either it's that old saying where you repeat the same failed mistakes as a sign of insanity. So he's either insane or he actually wants to lose. I can't understand.
Well, this is the other thing.
Logic to me, John, tells me why. If you're getting a hammering every time there's an election, rather than sit back and think, right, something's not right, we need to fix it.
Yeah.
No, let's double down and carry on. Sorry, what, mate? I mean, I'm made up. They've crashed and burned. But the only thing that's stopping me from cracking the champagne open is morons are still voting for Labour, mate.
Oh, what is that kid going to do? Tell me what he's going to do. All he's going to do is he's going to listen and do as he's told. That's it. And that Labour will just take him over and manipulate him. That's it. And what else can you say? Now, the Lib Dem one, that's even more frightening. Because
that's a protest, that one, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was a pretty big turnaround.
It was.
So each of them are deriving their own feelings about the whole thing. So Ed Davey, it's a massive victory. Rishi, as you just said, doubling down. Oh, yeah, let's not worry about it. Well, Rishi, you've just lost an arm. Oh, you're going to say, it's a flesh wound. Don't worry about that.
Just a scratch. Be fine. I'm going to pick my position again. So I'm going to say Lib Dems think they're going to be the next government. Rishi thinks there's no problem. So I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to say this next election is going to be close. Yeah,
I think so as well. Especially, it's going to be Selby and Ainsty close.
Yeah, I think some of the Conservative voters are going to come back out. I don't think all of them are. Is that going to be enough to win all them seats back and get that majority? No, I don't think it is.
No.
I mean, we've got at least another year or maybe a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to do some turnaround, aren't they? Wow.
What would you say is going to be the impact upon the general election and the way that the country's going to shape up? Do you think he's going to call it in 24? Do you think he will?
They've got to, haven't they? It would have been 5 years.
Well, they can leave it as long as they want in a lot of ways because they just keep on bending all the rules anyway. I
thought it had to be within 5 years.
It does.
Isn't that them silly laws that I think Labour came up with all that, didn't he? So
he'll leave it to the very last minute, I think, to try and get as much leverage as he can with everything that he's doing. We are going to stop the boats.
So his leverage is losing elections.
And is Labour fit for government? I mean, I don't think they are. I don't think they're fit for purpose.
Hey, Conservatives are fit. They do a lot of exercise. They've been running this country into the ground for the last decade.
And the Lib Dems?
A flash in the pan.
They're picking up more. They're picking up more.
Yeah, they're not going
more.
to be the next government, though, are they? Let's face it. They might nick a couple of seats here and there when people are a bit miffed off with the cons, but can't see it. They'd need to be taking votes off Labour to have a chance, and I don't think they are.
Well, in fine, Uxbridge will give a little bit of comfort to Rishi. A little bit of comfort.
Not if you look at it like we did, mate. They've just scraped that, haven't they? Let's face it. They've just scraped it with you, Les, right? But they're going to need something else, mate. Something bigger.
Well, the downsides for him, if you look at it from Rishi's point of view, Labour overturning a 20,000 majority in Selby and Ainsty, while the Lib Dems transformed a 19,000 majority in Somerton and Frome into 11,000 vote cushion. That's something for them to be sitting back and going, okay, Rishi, so what's your next move?
He's going to keep doing what he's doing, apparently. Oh, God.
Do you think they're going to retain power? That's the question.
Oh, this is going to be close, this, isn't it? I think it's going to be hung parliament, something like that, John. I don't know.
Can you imagine them? Can you imagine? Because of the uni party, wouldn't it be great if the Conservatives went into government with Labour?
I knew you were going to say that. Again, though, John, it'd make no difference because they are just the same. So it doesn't matter, red or blue. Put them together. I don't know. Maybe they'll do a good job.
Well, the Conservatives are going to jump on you, Les. That's Labour's weakest point right now.
No, but if Labour had a brain, I mean, Trevor's mentioned this. Who was pushing Khan to do it? The Grand Shaps. It's the government who are funding it all. So, like, if you come knocking on my door and said, you've got to vote for me because otherwise they're going to do this, and I'd say, well, you're the ones telling them to do it and you're giving them the money.
Yeah.
They're not voting for you until you stop this net zero insanity and stand up against this.
Did you see on an interview with Johnny Mercer, the Conservative MP, he likened the new guy to those guys out of the In-Betweeners. I was like, oh, God.
I don't even think I knew anything about politics when I was 25, John. I wasn't interested.
No. Well, he's quoted as saying, this guy has been at Oxford University more than he's been in a job. You put a chip in him and he just relates Labour lines. People have had enough of that.
He sounds like he should be in the Conservative Party then, doesn't he, really?
Yeah.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's a double agent.
I just find the whole thing... It is right what Lawrence Fox calls it. It's a pantomime.
It is.
It's a pantomime. And the
whole world's a pantomime, John.
The people of this country do not realize how serious it is because you are giving these people control over your lives. And as we found out, and I'm just going to bring this to an end, as we found out with even the local council, the monitoring officers turn around and say, well, if a councillor wants to act in that way, they can.
Yeah, they're marking their own homework again.
Again. So, and it's the same with the MPs. If you give them an inch, they will take a yard. They'll take a mile. And we're sitting back and we're just going, well, who is it going to be? Are we going to be looking at a Labour government next year or a Conservative government?
Doesn't bother me either way because they're both equally as useless. I say useless. I think I should actually change that to dangerous.
Yeah.
I know we're having a bit of a laugh and a joke here, but we've hit some serious points on these idiots, haven't we, in our main podcast, and they're just running this country into the ground fast.
Well, I think the Lib Dems are positioning themselves to go into coalition. That's what they're doing.
It wouldn't surprise me if that happened, to be honest.
If they retain the seats that they've gained by the protest votes, they're positioning themselves to do that. And the Lib Dems are more likely to garner the support of the Greens as well.
Do you think it might be a bit of a repeat of what happened 2010 when it was had enough of Labour, not quite enough to get the cons back in. So
Yeah.
it was the cons and the libs.
Yeah.
This time round, everyone's sick of the cons. We might get Labour and the Lib. Oh,
I
God,
think
this is going to go from bad to worse.
That's what
isn't
I
it?
think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. And all the other parties and the independents. And it's not going to change, and I'll say it again, it's not going to change until we change the first past the post system of
I
democracy.
think maybe when Trevor mentions compulsory voting, I'm always against that. But you know what? I'm thinking now, maybe make it compulsory. And then we'll add an extra option. None of the above. Sack the lot of them. And if sack the lot of them gets more than all the others, all together. Bye-bye.
I advocated at one time to have another box on the ballot paper saying none of the above.
But that still lets someone win. I'd put one.
No.
Sack them all. Sack them all.
If you put
Same thing, suppose. Yeah.
if you put none of the above, and then take that percentage, you are able to derive a percentage, a cohort of the people who are voting to be able to say, well, look, proportionally, this is it. If this is all that's up, then basically you don't have any form of control, because if none of the above got something like about, I don't know, 51%.
I'm going to say 52.
It's as simple as that. It's not
Right, but
really
then-
a creditable election.
It's not. But then who comes in to do the job?
I would say, bring in a dictator. We need Putin over here. He'd sort it out, wouldn't
It
he?
works for him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Probably not for the people, but it works,
Works
for him.
for him.
Yeah.
Well, on that happy note, sir, do you have any final comments? I think it's going to be a coalition, and it will be
It's possible.
Labour and the Lib Dems. That's the only way that they can actually win against the Conservatives. I think it's going to be tight, as you say.
I'm just still amazed that people are actually coming out and voting for the Conservatives and for Labour. I mean, seriously, people, come on. This has got to stop.
Did you notice that we did not mention the SNP at all?
The SNP. No, we didn't, did we?
No.
Never mind. Does anyone anymore?
Well,
Gone quiet, them, haven't they?
yeah, the police
Keep
are
themselves
looking.
out of trouble.
Well, I'm telling you, right? End
Hey,
credits.
when they're not in trouble, John, we don't hear about them.
Well, there you go. So we know that the SNP are not going to have too much of an effect on overall on the politics of what's going on. No, and I hope that the DUP actually somehow have a final say
Yes.
on a coalition of some description. I hope they do, because it would be fantastic if they did.
You know, I hope the Conservatives go the same way as the SNP, and then I'll have a few years of Labour and they go the same way, and then something can rise out the ashes. God, it's a long shot, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, sir, for your
You're welcome.
input onto that, and I would say good night to anybody that's listening. All three of our listeners.
Oh, there might be an extra two.
Oh, right, okay.
Raven and the Gazelle. Seems to be left them out.
They're going to be sitting there saying, how come we weren't invited on to do that discussion? You know? Yeah,
It took too long.
yeah, we don't care.